3.28 Bindana Sutta. This body, monks, is perishable. Consciousness is of a nature to dissolve, and all objects of clinging are impermanent, suffering, and subject to change. Having known the body as perishable and consciousness as bound to dissolve, having seen fear in objects of clinging, he has gone beyond birth and death. Having attained supreme peace with composed mind, he bides his time. He waits his time. 3.29 Dattu So Sam Sandana Sutta. Dattu So Sam Sandana Sutta. Monks, it is according to like elements that beings associate with each other and come together. Beings of low disposition associate and come together with beings of low disposition. Beings of good disposition associate and come together with beings of good disposition. It was so in the past, it will be so in the future, and it is so in the present. Desire born of association is severed by non-association. As one riding on a wooden plank would sink in the mighty ocean, even so one of virtuous life sinks by consorting with an idler. Therefore shun an idle person or a lazy person, one who makes little effort. Live with those who dwell secluded, the noble ones resolved and meditative, who are ever strenuous and wise. 3.30 Parihana Sutta. 3 things, monks, lead to the falling away of a learner monk. What are the 3? Here a learner monk enjoys activity, is fond of activity, enjoys indulging in activity. He enjoys gossip, is fond of gossip, enjoys indulging in gossip. He enjoys sleep, is fond of sleep, enjoys indulging in sleep. These are the 3 things that lead to the falling away of a learner monk. 3 things, monks, protect a learner monk from falling away. What are the 3? Here a learner monk does not enjoy activity, is not fond of activity, does not enjoy indulging in activity. He does not enjoy gossip, is not fond of gossip, does not enjoy indulging in gossip. He does not enjoy sleep, is not fond of sleep, does not enjoy indulging in sleep. These are the 3 things that protect a learner monk from falling away. A monk who enjoys activity, restless, fond of gossip and sleep, will never be able to attain enlightenment which is supreme. Thus let him restrict his duties, give up sloth and restlessness. Such a monk can attain enlightenment which is supreme. So too much activity, too much things to do, talking too much and sleeping too much, obstacles. 3.31 Vittaka Sutta. Monks, there are these 3 kinds of unwholesome thoughts. What 3? A thought concerned with not being despised. A thought concerned with gain, honor, and fame. A thought concerned with involvement in the affairs of others. These, monks, are the 3 kinds of unwholesome thoughts. One concerned with not being despised, with gain, honor, and esteem, and who delights in companionship, is far from the destruction of fetters. But having abandoned sons and herds, family life and possessions, such a monk can attain enlightenment which is supreme. So if a monk is serious about the spiritual path, he's not concerned with how people think about him, whether people despise him or give him fame and all that. He's not bothered. And also bothered about other people's affairs. He's only concentrating on practicing the spiritual path. 3.32 Sakkara Sutta. Monks have seen beings overwhelmed and with minds obsessed by receiving homage upon the perishing of the body after death, take rebirth in a state of misery, a bad born, a state of ruin, hell. I have seen beings overwhelmed and with minds obsessed by not receiving homage, and later not receiving by both receiving homage and later not receiving homage. Upon the perishing of the body after death, take rebirth in a state of misery, a bad born, a state of ruin, hell. I say this, monks, without having learnt it from another recluse of Brahmin. It is just because I myself have known it, seen it and observed it, that I say, I have seen beings overwhelmed and with minds obsessed by receiving homage or not receiving homage, etc., and after death take rebirth in hell. He is one who lives diligently with concentration undisturbed, both when homage is paid to him and when he receives no homage, meditating continuously, gifted with subtle view and insight, enjoying the destruction of grasping. They call such a one a true man. So a person serious about the spiritual path, he doesn't bother about homage, respect and all that. 3.33 Devasadda Sutta. Monks, among the Devas, 3 joyous utterances are proclaimed from time to time upon certain occasions. What 3? At the time when a noble disciple, having had his hair and beard shaved off, and having clothed himself in the yellow robe, intends going forth from the home into homelessness. At that time, among the Devas, the joyous utterance is proclaimed. A noble disciple intends to do battle with Mara. This is the first joyous utterance proclaimed among the Devas from time to time upon a certain occasion. Again, monks, at the time when a noble disciple lives engaged in cultivating the 7 groups of the requisites of enlightenment, at that time among the Devas, the joyous utterance is proclaimed. A noble disciple is doing battle with Mara. This is the second joyous utterance proclaimed among the Devas from time to time upon a certain occasion. And again, monks, at the time when a noble disciple, through realization by his own direct knowledge, here and now enters and abides in the release by mind and release by wisdom, that is taintless by the destruction of the stains or asavas. At that time, among the Devas, the joyous utterance is proclaimed. A noble disciple has won the battle. He was in the forefront of the fight, and he now dwells victorious. This, monks, is the third joyous utterance proclaimed among the Devas from time to time upon a certain occasion. These, monks, are the 3 joyous utterances. On seeing that he has won the battle, even the Devas honor him, the fully enlightened one's disciple, a great one free from diffidence. We salute you, O thoroughbred man, you who have won a difficult conquest, having routed the army of death. You are unhindered in liberation. Thus do the Devas extol him, the one who has attained the goal, for they do not perceive in him ground for subjection in death's control. So when somebody decides to renounce and become a monk, so the Devas, they are very happy. And the second time is when a monk is striving hard, fighting hard with Mara. Third is when he has won the battle and become liberated. 3.34 Pancha Pubba Nimitta Sutta. Pancha is 5, Pubba refers to the past. Nimitta is a science. Monks, when a Deva is due, this one prognostic science means foretelling science. Monks, when a Deva is due to pass away from a company of Devas, 5 prognostic signs appear. His flower garlands wither, his clothes become soiled, sweat is released from his armpits, his bodily radiance fades, and the Deva takes no delight in his heavenly throne. The Devas, observing the prognostic signs that this Deva is due to pass away, encourage him in 3 things with the words, "Go from here, friend, to a good bond. Having gone to a good bond, gain that which is good to gain. Having gained that which is good to gain, become firmly established in it." So this Pubba is not Pubbe. Pubbe is past. This is different. When this was said, a certain monk asked the Lord, "Venerable Sir, what is reckoned by the Devas to be a good bond? What is reckoned by the Devas to be a gain that is good to gain? What is reckoned by the Devas to be firmly established?" And the Buddha said, "It is human existence, monks, that is reckoned by the Devas to be a good born. When a human being acquires faith in the Dhammavinaya taught by the Tathagata, this is reckoned by the Devas to be a gain that is good to gain. When faith is steadfast in him, firmly rooted and established and strong, not to be destroyed by any recluse or Brahmin or Deva or Mara or Brahma or by anyone else in the world, this is reckoned by the Devas to be firmly established. When a Deva whose life is exhausted passes away from a Deva company, the Devas encourage him in 3 ways with the words, 'Go, friend, to a good born, to the fellowship of humans. On becoming human, acquire faith unsurpassed in the true Dhamma. That faith, made steadfast, become rooted and standing firm, will be unshakable for life. In the true Dhamma well proclaimed, having abandoned misconduct by body, misconduct by speech as well, misconduct by mind, and whatever else is reckoned as a fault, having done much that is good, both by body and by speech, and done good with the mind that is boundless and free from clinging, with that merit as a basis, made abundant by generosity, you should establish other people in the true Dhamma and the holy life. When the Devas know that a Deva is about to pass from their midst, out of compassion they encourage him, return here Deva again and again.' So here, when a Deva is about to pass away, the other Devas know because of these 5 signs of his flower garlands, which are always fresh, now they wither. And then his clean clothes become dirty. And then he starts to sweat under his armpits, which he didn't do before. And his bodily radiance, the brightness fades. And he's not happy. He used to be so happy. So when they see this, they tell him 3 things. Take rebirth in the human realm. Then acquire faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Dhammavinaya. And then make the faith steadfast, firmly rooted. This means get unshakable faith, become Arya, become Sotapanna. 3 things. 3.35 Bahu Janahita Sutta. Monks, these 3 persons appearing in the world appear for the welfare of many people, for the happiness of many people, out of compassion for the world, for the good welfare and happiness of Devas and humans. What 3? Here, monks, a Tathagata appears in the world, an Arahant Sammasambuddha, possessing perfect knowledge and conduct, a sublime one, a world knower, an unsurpassed leader of persons to be tamed, a teacher of Devas and humans, an enlightened one, a Lord. He teaches Dhamma that is good at the outset, good in the middle, and good at the end, with its correct meaning and wording, and he proclaims the holy life in its fulfillment and complete purity. This, monks, is the first person appearing in the world, who appears for the welfare of many people, for the happiness of many, out of compassion for the world, for the good welfare and happiness of Devas and humans. Next, monks, there is a disciple of that teacher, an Arahant, one whose stains or asavas are destroyed, the holy life fulfilled, who has done what had to be done, laid down the burden, attained the goal, destroyed the fetters of being, and is completely released through final knowledge. He teaches Dhamma, and he proclaims the holy life in its fulfillment and complete purity. This, monks, is the second person appearing in the world for the good welfare and happiness of Devas and humans. And next, monks, there is a disciple of that teacher, a learner or an Arya, who is following the path, who has learned much and is of virtuous conduct. He teaches Dhamma and he proclaims the holy life in its fulfillment and complete purity. This, monks, is the third person appearing in the world for the good welfare and happiness of Devas and humans. These, monks, are the 3 persons appearing in the world who appear for the welfare of many people, for the happiness of many people, out of compassion for the world, for the good welfare and happiness of Devas and humans. The teacher and the great sage is the first in the world. Following him is the disciple whose composure is perfected, And then the learner training on the path, one who has learned much and is virtuous. These three are chief among devas and humans, illuminators, preaching Dhamma, opening the door to the deathless. They free many people from bondage. Those who follow the path, well taught by the unsurpassed caravan leader, who are diligent in the Sublime One's dispensation, make an end of suffering within this very life itself. This is interesting. The three most compassionate people in the world. The first one is the Buddha. The second one is an Arahant disciple of the Buddha. The third one is Arya, who has not attained Arahanthood, either first path or first fruit, second path, second fruit, third path, third fruit, or fourth path attainer, who teaches the Dhamma like the Buddha teaches for the welfare of the world and for devas and humans. Sometimes people think I do charity is very compassionate. It's not so compassionate as teaching the Dhamma. You do charity, you only benefit people for a short while. You give them food, you help them one day only. Or you teach them Dhamma, you help them this life and future lifetimes. 3.36 Asubhanupasi Sutta. Monks, live contemplating the foulness of the body. Let mindfulness of breathing be inwardly well established before you. Live contemplating the impermanence of all volitions. For those who live contemplating foulness in the body, the tendency to lust with regard to the element of beauty is abandoned. When mindfulness of breathing is inwardly well established before one, the tendencies of extraneous thoughts to produce vexation of mind remain no more. For those who live contemplating the impermanence of all volitions, ignorance is abandoned and knowledge arises. Contemplating foulness in the body, being mindful of in and out breathing, ever ardent and seeing clearly, the calming down of all volitions. Such a monk who sees rightly is thereby well released, accomplished in knowledge, at peace. That sage has overcome all bonds. So you notice here, the Buddha encourages the monk to practice these three things, not just one, three things. The unattractiveness of the body, the anapanasati, mindfulness of the breath, to keep the mindfulness firm, and impermanence in all volitions. You see, volitions, when we have a volition, when we exercise an intention, there is a result, there's a sequence of results from it. For example, even for you to move your hand, you got to have the volition to move your hand, the intention before your hand can move. So for the world, anything to happen in the world, there must be a volition before something happens. So if volitions are impermanent, and volitions condition other things. Volitions condition, for example, I have this intention to move my hand, then I move my hand. So if the volition is impermanent, then the movement of the hand is even more impermanent, because the movement of the hand depends on the volition. Just like, for example, if the shadow of a tree depends on the sun and depends on the tree itself, but the sun is impermanent, the sun is always shifting, can be covered by the clouds, and the tree itself can fall down one day. So because the shadow depends on the tree and depends on the sun, which itself is impermanent, then the shadow is even more impermanent, depends on other conditions which are impermanent. So in the same way, almost everything in the world depends on volitions, and if volitions are impermanent, then everything in the world is even more impermanent. 3.37 Dhamma nu Dhamma Patipana Sutta. Practice according to the Dhamma. When referring to a monk who practices according to Dhamma, this is the proper way of defining practice according to Dhamma. When speaking, he speaks only Dhamma, not non-Dhamma. When thinking, he thinks only thoughts of Dhamma, not thoughts of non-Dhamma. By avoiding these two, he lives with equanimity, mindful and clearly comprehending. A monk enjoying the Dhamma and delighting in the Dhamma, reflecting upon the Dhamma, does not fall from true Dhamma. Whether walking or standing, sitting or lying down, with mind inwardly restrained, he attains to lasting peace. I think earlier last year when we talked on the Majjhima, or the previous year on the Khuddaka Nikaya, we came across a sutta where the Buddha said, what do you mean by speaker of Dhamma? The speaker of Dhamma is one who teaches suffering, the arising of suffering, cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Only then is called a speaker of Dhamma. But sometimes you find this kind of Dhamma is very heavy. A lot of worldly people are not interested. So you find some monks in their Dhamma talk, they'll be telling stories, and then people laugh, people feel very entertained. Or some people, some monks, they teach their own Dhamma, their own interpretation. But the Buddha's disciples, we can find from the suttas, when they teach Dhamma, they say it is not their Dhamma, it is the Buddha's Dhamma, it's the Tathagata's Dhamma that they teach. So when a monk teaches Dhamma, it should be the Buddha's Dhamma, not his own Dhamma. 3.38 Anda Karana Sutta. Monks, these three kinds of unwholesome thoughts produce blindness, lack of vision, and absence of knowledge. They obstruct wisdom, lead to vexation, and are not conducive to Nibbana. What are the three? A sensual thought, a thought of ill will or anger, and an aggressive thought. This ill will can also be said to be ill will or enmity. These monks are the three kinds of unwholesome thoughts that produce blindness and are not conducive to Nibbana. Monks, these three kinds of wholesome thoughts remove blindness and produce vision, knowledge and the growth of wisdom. They do not lead to vexation and are conducive to Nibbana. What are the three? A thought of renunciation, a thought of loving kindness, metta, and a thought of harmlessness. I think this is ahimsa. These monks are the three kinds of wholesome thoughts that remove blindness, etc., and are conducive to Nibbana. 3 wholesome thoughts should be entertained, 3 unwholesome thoughts rejected. One who stops such trains of thought, as a shower settles a cloud of dust, with a mind that has quelled such thoughts, attains in this life the state of peace. This is the second factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, right thoughts and the opposite, wrong thoughts. 3.39 Antaramala Sutta. Monks, these 3 are inner stains, inner enemies, inner foes, inner murderers, inner adversaries or enemies. What 3? Greed is an inner stain, an inner adversary. Hate is an inner stain, an inner adversary. Delusion is an inner stain, an inner adversary. These are the 3. Greed is the cause for misfortune. Greed agitates the mind. People do not understand this as a danger produced within. A greedy person does not know the good. A greedy person does not see the Dhamma. Blinding darkness then prevails when greed overwhelms a person. But one who has abandoned greed longs not for what invites cupidity. Greed slips away from him as a water drop from a lotus leaf. Hate is a cause of misfortune. Hate agitates the mind. People do not understand this as a danger produced within. A hater does not know the good. A hater does not see the Dhamma. Blinding darkness then prevails when hate overwhelms a person. But one who has abandoned hate is not angered by what incites to anger. Hate drops away from him as a palmyra fruit from its stalk. Delusion is a cause of misfortune. Delusion agitates the mind. People do not understand this as a danger produced within. One deluded does not know the good. One deluded does not see the Dhamma. Blinding darkness then prevails when delusion overwhelms a person. But one who has abandoned delusion is not bewildered by confusing things. He puts an end to all delusion as the sunrise dispels the darkness. These are the three basic poisons in us, greed, hatred and delusion. I just finished one more sutta. 3.40 Devadatta Sutta. Monks, overcome with his mind obsessed by three kinds of wickedness, Devadatta will inevitably go to a state of misery, to hell for the duration of an aeon or world cycle. What are the three? Overcome with his mind obsessed by evil desires, overcome with his mind obsessed by evil friends, and although there was more that should have been done, he stopped halfway through gaining a trifling attainment of distinction. These monks are the three. So the Buddha said, Devadatta was overcome by three things. One is evil desires, ambition to lead the Sangha, ambition to be famous. The second one is evil or wrong friends. The third one, he already gained some psychic powers, but he stopped. He should have continued to attain liberation. Surely no one of evil desires is born again into this world. Know that he goes to the bourne of those who live in the grip of evil desires. I heard how Devadatta was regarded as a wise man, one developed in meditation, who shone as it were with fame. Having thought himself his equal, he assaulted the Tathagata and went to the four-doored frightful place, Avici, the unremitting hell. When one plots against an innocent who has done no evil deed, that evil merely affects the one, corrupt of mind and disrespectful. One who thinks he could pollute the ocean with a pot of poison would not be able to pollute it. Awesome is that mass of water. It is similar to in attacking with abuse. The Tathagata who has reached perfection and ever dwells with peaceful mind, abuse has no effect on him. A wise man should befriend such a one and constantly follow after him. A monk who goes along this path can reach the end of suffering. Okay, we stop here. Anything to discuss? I think one more night, then we can finish the Itivuttaka.
What attain jhana, seeming as they really are. And yet we heard from these two suttas, Sutta 51 and Sutta 73, that one can start in the formless attainment.
One can what?
One can start in the formless attainment. What is missing here? Is that one view or some other thing?
Right view. The Buddha said, the foundation in the Samyutta Nikaya, Satipatthana Samyutta, the Buddha says two foundations are very important: right view and moral conduct. If a person does not have right view, has not entered on the Noble Eightfold Path, he may have attained, like Devadatta, all the jhanas and have psychic power. But without right view, he has not entered on the Noble Eightfold Path. He's just like one of the external ascetics who have psychic power. So right view is extremely important. That's why the Buddha said that is the foundation. And how to attain right view? Study the suttas. Study the suttas and understand the suttas. Then you have right view. That's why a lot of people, they put the cart before the horse. They go into meditation first without studying the suttas. So they don't have right view. And then many of them, after struggling many years and they don't make progress, then they change their religion, no more interested in Buddhism. So like in the case of Devadatta, because he didn't have right view, his ego was a stumbling block. He wanted fame. He already got fame because he had psychic power. And the prince Ajatasattu was feeding him 500 dishes every day, morning and evening. So his ego became bigger. So he wanted to take over the Buddha's place, and the Buddha scolded him in front of all the monks. He got so angry, he decided to kill the Buddha.
With regards to the five prognosis sign, it seems to say that they were also teachers of the earth.
Yeah.
When the devas seems to be passing away, there are other devas who knows there are some teachers of earth.
Yeah.
So does it mean that all the devas in the heaven realm knew this?
No, not only those who are interested to know.
Okay. Then, here the deva, does it include Nagas and Buddhas and Asuras?
Yeah, it includes, the only thing is, like among the Nagas and Asuras, not many of them will be interested, no?
So that means that a virtuous person who does not know Dhamma on earth, when he passes away, because his virtue, he will be born in heaven, and if he's lucky enough, other devas will know and say, hey, go to earth, and that's why it says the five prognosis signs of life. Is that what I mean?
No, all devas who are passing away, they will encourage him to, because if a deva is passing away, that means his merit is being used up. So he's bound to fall. So below the deva realm, it depends on what level he is. If he's on the 33 heaven of the 33, he can also be reborn in the heaven of the 4 great kings. Right? But the devas might tell him, go and take rebirth in the human realm. Don't go for the 4 great kings. It's better to go and learn the Dhamma.
So, following your what you said, what happens if he is in the lowest realm, let's say the Asuras?
Oh, you mean among the 4 great heavenly kings? Okay.
So, does the other Asuras...
Asuras are not in the 4 great heavenly kings. Asuras are in the 33 heaven.
Also, Asuras also got friends that will tell him to go to seek the Dhamma.
Asuras may not be very interested in the Dhamma, because they are not interested in the Dhamma. You see, we read in the suttas that when somebody practices the Dhamma according to the Buddha's teaching, then the devas are very happy. The devas in the 33 heaven, they say our devas will grow in population because Mel and Kawai and all that is practicing the Dhamma. They are going to join us in the heaven. Okay? So, those who practice the Dhamma, when you pass away and go to the heaven of the 33, you are born with Sakka Devaraja. But those who are not interested in the Dhamma, they might do some good. Like in this world, there's a lot of people rich. They are philanthropists. They do a lot of charity. Okay? But they are not interested in the Dhamma. They only are interested to become rich. And maybe they think by doing a lot of charity, they become richer. Okay? So such people, when they have a lot of blessings and they pass away, they go to the heaven of the 33, they are born among the Asuras. They are born among the Asuras. And then they like to drink, like to enjoy life. They are not interested in the Dhamma. Those devas probably they won't tell each other go to earth. No. Only those who are interested in the Dhamma. Not all devas are interested in the Dhamma. We heard in the Attanatiya Sutta, the Yakka Devaraja, he said most of the Yakkas don't like the Buddha and don't like the Buddha's disciples. Okay?
I have one more question. It seems to mention that those who are born in the Deva realm, when they die, they will go to the next realm below.
Yeah. Depending on their karma.
Will they have a chance to be born in the lower realm?
Of course.
Also have. Those who die also have.
If they have done evil as a deva, if they have done evil.
Which one may be best?
Not only past karma, that life itself as a deva. You see, there are some yakas, they might live in the mountain, and then some monk comes to the mountain to practice. They get angry, come and intrude on their privacy. They may kill the monk. Then they die and go to hell. We saw in one of the suttas, two yakas were flying by, and Sariputta was in deep samadhi. And then the one of them gave a knock on Sariputta, and then immediately he went to hell. Okay, shall we end here?